Hello, this is Greg Allison with Green Graves coming to you on late night, 15 September 2020. And I'm going to tell you about China. This nation, the nation of China, has 23.7 million people living on 13,826 square miles. So, hey, wait a minute, that ain't right. China's got 1.4 million people on 3.7 million square miles. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the Republic of China. Again, you're probably saying, Greg, what are you talking about? Republic of China. Ah, you're thinking about the People's Republic of China. Yeah, the other China. The China with 1.4 million people on 3.7 million square miles. Oh, yeah, that's the other China. You know, wait a minute, how can that be the other China? It's got more people, more land. Well, actually, this is a tale of two Chinas. The Republic of China and the People's Republic of China. The one you're most familiar with, if you go to Wikipedia today and type in China, you're going to see the People's Republic of China. Right, that's China. It's all one China. That's the one we have, this one China policy, right? Well, see, yeah, that's mainland China. Yeah, one's mainland China, the other's Taiwan. Taiwan, the breakaway. You're talking about the breakaway government, aren't you, Greg? I'm talking about both, but it's not a breakaway government. There is a strong fallacy in it. In fact, the Republic of China, which you're most familiar with, which you're not most familiar with, and you call Taiwan these days, which is on the island of Taiwan, and they do these days refer to themselves as Taiwanese, and also as Chinese, because they are Chinese, is actually the original government from mainland China. The Republic of China was founded on mainland China as the Republic of the Nation in 1912. Ah, you didn't know that, did you? Actually, the People's Republic of China is the rebellion that drove the Republic of China to Taiwan. The People's Republic of China now occupies mainland China, but the Republic of China is what's left of the original Republic of China, the original country, and it's still a country to this day, even though that's not what the CCP would say. But then that's according to the CCP, the rebellion, who wants to conquer all of China and more. So they're trying to set the narrative. But the people of the Republic of China have never served under, been under, or broke away from the CCP's PRC. They were the original national government of China from 1912. And see, in 1912, the Republic of China overthrew the it's spelled Q-I-N-G, it's pronounced Qing dynasty, the very last imperial dynasty of China. Now, the Qing dynasty tried to make a resurgence, so I'll tell you more about that. But let's go and talk about the Republic of China, the people, for a minute, because we all, and you've all heard so much about the People's Republic of China these days, so much in the news. A lot of you aren't familiar with the Republic of China. So let's focus on that one of the two Chinas for the most part of this video here. So Taipei is the capital, as many of you know, and again, they have 23.7 million people living on 13,827 square miles. So in the early 1960s, they had a big economic miracle going there, but they had such a growth pattern, they called it the Taiwan Miracle. And what a lot of you are aware of is the Republic of China, whose capital is in Taipei, Taiwan, had the seat in the UN for China until 1971. That was when Richard Nixon wanted to use the People's Republic of China, being a larger country with a bigger military at that time, as a leverage against the Soviet Union. He thought he could use them to control the Soviet. I propose today we need to go to Russia and use them as leverage against the People's Republic of China. We need to turn that around, because Russia today has more to fear from China in the long run than they do from us. It would be more their advantage to cut an alliance with us and us stop all this bickering and focus on the growing 900-pound gorilla in the international global room, which is the People's Republic of of China. Now, let me give a little disclaimer before we go into all this any further. They're both Chinese. You have Chinese people in Taiwan, the Republic of China, and Chinese people in the People's Republic of China. They are both Chinese people. And what you will find in both cases, it's just like people anywhere. There's good and bad and people anywhere you go. There are lots of really good people on both sides with good hearts, good souls, smart people. And these are smart people. Don't doubt that for a minute on both sides. But the fundamental difference is how they're governed. So what you need to know is that the People's Republic of China refuses to recognize any country this day who recognizes the Republic of China. So they refuse to have diplomatic relationships with them. Well, that's their way of trying to control the narrative, and that they hope and have hope that to use their little economic sugar, the seductive thing, oh, we have a big market in the mainland China, and we can produce goods for you so cheap. They have appealed to the greed of the nations to not recognize the Republic of China and to cut special deals in mainland China's CCP government. So, like I said, there's good people on both sides. I'm not talking about the people. My difference is with the governments. So just bear that in mind. Now, indeed, after their exile to the island of Taiwan, the Republic of China was under martial law for a period from 1949 to 1987. Because they had just been militarily pushed and they were trying to reconstitute themselves. But in 1988, they had the very first president who was actually born on the island of Taiwan. He wasn't the first president of China now, but the first one born on Taiwan soil. And and his name was Li Ting Hao, H-E-U-I. Now, forgive me, my redneck tongue is not quite versed in Mandarin yet. Maybe I'll get there one day. But their current president, the new president, is a lady by the name Tsai Ing-wen. I hope I got that right. I murdered her name's too bad. Please forgive me. Because I'm hoping to just shed a little light on your country and your plight. So, you know, if you kind of go back in time to 1912, you know, China had been from all of its history under the rulership of these dynasties. And dynasties are, you know, a very top-down, beat on the neck kind of government for the most part. You know, China, though, did have a lot of culture development, agriculture. China's one of the oldest governments or societies, civilizations on the face of this planet. And they're large, they're big, they're huge. So they've got an enormous history, very enormous, quite unlike us. You know, we were a bunch of tribes and, you know, mixed out through Europe until just, you know, recent memory by the Chinese standard. And, you know, some of us have moved around and reestablished, like here in America and Australia and other places, but we don't have anywhere near the history of culture and the depth that they have in those places to go by. But bear in mind, when a country has been under dynasties for so long, becoming a democratic type republic takes some adjustment, and that's what they dealt with earlier. Before I go into that, I want to say a couple of things. I want to say, I'm covering this first and foremost so you can understand Taiwan. And I'm going to go and tell you about a Czech leader who's in hot water with the People's Republic of China because he emulated JFK's little speech at Brandenburg Gate in Berlin, which he in English would have said, I'm a Berliner. I'll say that. Auf Deutsch, shortly. Auf Deutsch in German. So we'll go into that in just a moment. Now, that said, what I want to say is I'm always covering videos to keep your eyes wide open and head on the swivel so you'll know what's coming at us. So one of the reasons I'm talking about this is today there's a lot of tension between Taiwan and the Republic of China and the People's Republic of China. So much so that there are those who believe that the People's Republic of China is going to try to invade in the very near term the Republic of China to take it. And I've done videos on that. Check my videos. Also, the United States is also having a lot of tension with China. And for all intent and purposes, seem to be siding with Taiwan, the Republic of China. And so we might get into it with the People's Republic of China on our own prior to that. And it could be caused by China or maybe even by us. However, whatever the case is, the Republic of China, which aka Taiwan, may be where that all starts. Because if the People's Republic of China decides to move on Taiwan, I am fairly confident that, well, depending on who's president, there's a good chance that we're going to take the side of Taiwan. Now, I could see the presidency going such a way that the Chinese could just invade mainland U.S. and we would say, oh, yeah, welcome on in. Come on, come on. Take us over, put the jet butt on our neck. Oh, well, here's everything I got. You think I'm being a bit overblown here. I'll think about it. So that's not the subject of this video, though. I did a video, though, asking, could the People's Republic of China invade the U.S. with a surprise invasion using their cargo vessels? Go back and see that. You might find that to be interesting. So, again, this is keep your eyes wide open and head on a swivel. That's what I'm bringing to you here, is so that you can understand that situation. This is part of that series in the spirit of my channel, which has the purpose of helping you survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive. Now, all right, all these things said, you should support my channel. First and foremost, by subscribing if you're not already subscribed. And if you are subscribed, go, or if you haven't subscribed, either way, go check the notifications bell, click it, and click off. So bang the bell and click off for update notifications. Then you'll get update notifications for my various emails or videos. And you should go back and check from time to time, though, because the algorithms don't always favor channels so much when we tell some of the stories that we tell here. Like, what's the difference between the PRC and the ROC? Because the mainland, what you hear today is this is the renegade republic, this ROC, they're a breakaway republic. No, they're not. They are not and never were. That's a fact. Put that in the bank. That seems to be the narrative today. And although the one China thing, well, they belong to China. Really? Ask the people in Taiwan if they belong to China. One thing I assert on my channel, and I will always assert, is that no people on this planet, none, nowhere, have the right to tell another people that they own them. Oh, you're part of our country. You have to be here because we own you. You do not have that right. No one has that right anywhere. Although countries do that all the time, and they use the force of the end of the barrel to enforce that. How fair is that? That's a tyranny of the majority. There's always peoples who would prefer to be living in their own style, their own manner, and their own culture, or at least not part of some other government, which typically people don't want to be under a jackboot. Go ask people in Taiwan. Go ask people in Hong Kong. Go ask the Uyghurs who live in Xinjiang, the province that we often refer to as the open air prison in China. They've got maybe 1 million to 3 million Uyghurs in captivity in re-education centers, aka concentration camps today. And the whole province is essentially looked at as an open air prison by many. Oh yeah, there's also Inner Mongolia, which is within Chinese borders, where most Mongolians live. And you may not know it, but China's decided that Mongolians and Mongolian schools can't study Mongolian anymore. They have to learn Chinese. In fact, they can't have classes in Mongolia. Kind of like what the Americans did to the American Indians, the Native Americans. Now, is that right? I think not. In none of those cases. Hey, Canadians, if Quebec wants to go, let them go. Well, you made all kinds of deals with Quebec to keep them in your union. Man, I'd have kicked them out the door. Oh, you want to go to France? Get the heck out of my union. That's what I'd say. What a big boot. Bye. You gave Quebec so many concessions. Now, hey, I love Quebecans. I've got some Quebecan friends. I came close to having a job in Quebec on one occasion. But, you know, this idea, we got to have you. We have to possess you. You're mine, my precious, my precious. It's sick. It's sick. It's demented. It's evil and goes against the spirit of freedom. So I'm against it. All that said, now let's go and oh yeah, like I said, subscribe to my channel. Also, what I just said, we are on the precipice, potentially the precipice of a WW3 with the US and China. I've talked in the past about the Thucydides trap, why there's a high potential for a war between the United States and China. Thucydides was a very original historian talking about the Peloponnesian Wars. It's not the subject of this video, but just bear it in mind. We have this tension. And 75% of the cases in the last 500 years where one rising power has sought to has been rising and potential to place in the other, there have been war. And the 25% that there was not a war, it was very special cases. I've mentioned this in other videos. Not going into that any further in this video. You need to go back. You know, listen, all my videos aren't visible when you open my channel and playlist below because your playlists are only so big. Click the videos. Click on the upper, I guess it's from you, upper left-hand corner of my screen. You know, when you go to my channel, it says videos, and just scroll through. You'll be surprised what you're going to find in there. Lots of stuff. A lot more than you normally see when you just open my page. Okay, so you can also support my channel by going to prepwithgreg.com. And let's share that, prepwithgreg.com. And oops, I don't think that's where I'm going to go initially. Let's see here, prepwithgreg.com. There we go. And right now we have a very good special on a 4-week supply of 25-year long duration storage food that comes in an easy to carrying bucket, 2 of them for 4 weeks food. Man, $100 off, $100 off, only $197 for 4 weeks food. Wow, look, you get 2,000 calories per day, 3 meals per day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, good food, and guess what? You even get desserts and drinks. An amazing deal. Try it. It's awesome. Buy several. Get them while you can. The prices of food are going to go. Hey, I've shown videos saying, hey, go to big box stores, buy the bulk food, buy as much as you can while you can. Right now, you got to do that too. But, you know, hey, this stuff's going to last 25 years. And if you have to bug out, boom, you grab that bucket. It's not that heavy. You can move it real fast. But best of all, you need to grow your own foods. Hey, I say, you know, I got the video where I talked about one of the Native Americans so valued their seeds on the Trail of Tears. Seeds of Survival. Check it out. My friends, you can buy all these wonderful garden seeds. You can also buy microgreed seeds. So if you live in the city, you can grow indoors. Look at all these things. And not only that, but you can, it goes into how to grow them here. And you can buy the supplies. Oh, yeah, look at that red garnet amaranth. Amaranth is an amazing plant. And Greg, but when Greg goes down, won't be able to go there and order me. Well, get your seeds now and plant some in the big pot and save the seeds from those. That's how you do that. You know, we won't stop that share. But boom. I'm back. So, Tale of Two Chinas. Well, the Republic of China was the mainland Chinese government on mainland China from 1912 to 1949. Now, during this period, like I said, after you overthrow a dynasty, getting used to being a republic is kind of hard to do. After thousands and thousands and thousands of years of being something else, living under a dictatorship, a dynasty, an emperor. So they did elect a president, and the president was in this party called the Kuomintang, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, or KMT. Yeah, that's what we typically call it. And his name was Sun. The first president of China was Sun Yat-sen. Sun Yat-sen. He only served briefly, though, because there was still, the military was strong, and they were still having a lot of warlords to deal with. The Qing dynasty was trying to come back. So he actually turned the power over to Yuan Shikai. Now, Yuan Shikai was ruling the military. Yuan Shikai wasn't really such a nice guy, maybe because the KMT party elected another president, and the next president elected got killed by one. One ordered his assassination, most unfortunately. And then one declared himself emperor from 1915 to 1916. Well, he died in 1916. And then right after his death, the Qing dynasty tried to come back. So the Republic of China was going through a lot of turmoil at that time. You know, the original government, they placed in Peking, but they reestablished their government in 1921 in Guangzhou. So that's what they did. In 1921, they went to Guangzhou. They were still the main government. Now, there were some warlords up in the Northeast, and they're kind of, you know, 1930s, China was having some economic progress, even though they were fighting some of this stuff, including in 1921, when they reestablished in Guangzhou. They actually had the support of this fledgling little party known as the CCP. Yeah, the CCP was starting up, but they were actually supporting the Republic of China. Because at first they were pretty small, but they also, you know, they all had some bigger enemies than these other warlords, including up in the Northeast. Overtaxation, doing what was going on in the Northeast, caused the Northeast to have some economic collapse. And so what happened is General Chiang Kai-Shek. Chiang Kai-Shek, y'all may remember him in history. He became the chairman of the party of the Republic of China that elected the first president, the KMT party, and he basically reasserted control over the Northeast to some best degree he could, and became the ruler of the Republic of China for the most part. And he also more or less attacked the CCP. He attacked communists, and it was said to have been a massacre in Shanghai of communists. Now, I don't know all the history of that, but that's what the PRC claims about it. You look on the Taiwanese history, they don't like, they'll put it that way. There's two Chinas and two tails here, okay? So it depends on who you ask as to what it was and how it went down. So, you know, they each have their claims and counterclaims for what happened. And it might be that Chiang-Shek might have said, hey, you know, these communists are a little hard to trust. That may be a topic I'll return to in the future, especially when you're making deals with them. So there ensued a civil war between the CCP's forces and the forces under Chiang Kai-Shek, which was the Republic of China. And that civil war, though, kind of weakened the country, and they got invaded by the imperial government of the Empire of Japan. And until Japan fell, when Japan was defeated, you know, the civil war between them basically stopped. But it resumed in 1946 after Japan cleared out. And within about 3 years, the CCP got the upper hand in this civil war, and Chiang Kai-Shek and his forces, the government of the Republic of China, withdrew to the island of Taiwan and established their capital in Taipei. So that's how the Republic of China went from being the government of mainland China in 1912 through 1949, basically. Several decades, they were the government of mainland China. And they withdrew to the island of Taiwan and had this seat in the United Nations, again, until 1971. The world recognized them as China until 1971. So that's something a lot of you didn't know. The People's Republic of China was seen by the world as China. That's kind of when I started out talking about China with 23 million people. So you go, Greg, we got 1.4 million. Yeah, well, the People's Republic of China indeed does. And, but this whole notion where people are saying that Taiwan is a breakaway province of China is wrong. That's not true. They never were a province of China. They never broke away. They have been attacked and invaded by rebellion set up by the CCP, which took over mainland China and has asserted themselves as the government of mainland China. But they've never ruled over the people and the government of Taiwan, the Republic of China, which is a nation. They're not a province. They operate as a nation. They've been a nation from the get-go. Like I said, they had a military dictatorship for a while, of martial law, basically. But they reverted back to being a republic and elected their first president. In 1987, they reverted back to being a republic. They elected their first president who served in 1988. And so today, the Republic of China is very much an Eastern democracy, republic, existing in an area of countries that are somewhat less than that. No exception Japan to their east. They live in the midst of countries that aren't so friendly to their form of government, but they're very much like us. In fact, there's a party in Taiwan that wants Taiwan to be the 51st state of the United States. Yeah, I don't see that happening, but that's kind of interesting. You go to the party headquarters, it's got American flags. They even did a parade float, and they had girls dancing on the float with American flags and all that kind of stuff. Kind of interesting, kind of funny. But so here's what you might want to know. The Speaker of the Czech Senate, Milos yeah, my Czech is not so good either. Milos Vystrčil, I probably murdered that name. Vystrčil, in the spirit of JFK, when he went to the Brandenburg Wall and said, "Ich bin ein Berliner." Ich bin ein Berliner. I am a Berliner. In English, auf English. Auf Deutsch, I bin ein Berliner. JFK said that, John, Kennedy, said that in the spirit of resisting the communists who had surrounded Berlin. Berlin was a divided city in the middle of East Germany during the Cold War, in which half of it was still part of West Germany. But they were surrounded by East Germany. And we had an airlift go in, support them, so that the communists didn't take over all of Berlin. So JFK went and said, "Hey, I'm a Berliner." Well, Mr. Bear with me here. Vystrčil, pardon me, Senator. I should just call him Milos. I can pronounce that much better. He said to the Taiwanese parliament, he said this, he said, "Please allow me to use the same method to show support to the people of Taiwan," that JFK had used. And to a standing ovation in the Taiwanese parliament, he said the following. He proclaimed proudly, "I am Taiwanese." The head of the Czech Senate in the parliament of Taiwan said, "I am Taiwanese," to a standing ovation. Well, the CCP was less than thrilled by this, and they threatened him. He said he would pay a heavy price. Well, the Czech government hasn't endorsed what Milos said exactly, but the prime minister was going to investigate just what this meant by China. You might say the Czech government and the Chinese government seem to be on a falling out, as many Western countries are with China today. Bear in mind, the Taiwanese people have a government much like ours, a government in the spirit of freedom and representation with elected people, with political parties, different political parties, including the one that wants to be a 51st state, or their minor party. But they have freedoms, economic and political. They do not want to be overtaken by a government that's going to snuff out their freedoms and put a jackboot on their neck. They know what that's like. They don't want to be part of it. We, in a country who cherish our freedoms, although a lot of people here don't seem to do that anymore, and there is one political party that seems to not care so much about that anymore either. This is freedom of press, all these amendments that we hold so dearly, including the one freedom that guarantees us the rest of the freedoms, the freedom to You know, you know what I mean? So I submit we owe, in the spirit of maintaining our way of life, other governments who try to live in our way of life, we owe them some support in some fashion. We need to support them. I am a Taiwanese of the Republic of China, the government, national government of the Republic of China. I say that very succinctly to say separate national government, the government of China. Hey, Xi Jinping, take that up your nose. Yeah, come make me pay a heavy price. Hey, yeah, okay. When we get a certain party taking over here, you're probably gonna be coming in, invited in. You're gonna lit me up, right? Yeah, try it. So there you are. We should support the people of Taiwan. As you know, I am not in favor of warfare. I do believe in defense. I'd like to see our boys come home from a lot of countries, but we are repositioning our chess pieces right now in the east, around Taiwan, the Nine-Dash Line, South China Sea, Guam. We're maybe cutting deals again with the Philippines. I think Durante, the current president of the Philippines, must be on the CCP payroll. Now, the people in the Philippines are somewhat less than happy with it for his support of the CCP. So go figure that. All right. So I'm sure this video is going to offend a lot of people, but I'm sitting here for freedom. What do I stand for? I stand for freedom. I stand for rights. We all should have rights. And the rights in here, the best amendment in this document is the 9th Amendment. It says, all rights not enumerated belong to the people. To you and me, to everybody. That's the way it ought to be. I didn't say this people or that people, this color or that color, this faith or that faith. Everyone should have the same rights. That is freedom. That's the way it ought to be. And that's not the freedom. It's my precious, you're mine. You're mine, my precious. You belong to me. No. No. So, Mr. Xi Jinping, Taiwan is not yours. Free Tibet. Free the Uyghurs. Free the people of Inner Mongolia. How about that? That's what ought to happen. That is exactly what ought to happen. I'll talk about the Uyghurs and some of this other stuff in a future video. Now, you're going to see me post a video tomorrow with, well, hopefully get up tomorrow. I'm doing an interview with Dr. Peter Vincent Pry. Yes, stay tuned. Dr. Peter Pry and I will be looking at the threat from China. Not just EMP this time. We're going to look at the full spectrum. What does it mean? What do we really stand? And we'll look also at Russia's a threat. Presently, Russia is a threat. I think we could flip that. I don't know if we'll succeed, because our internal politics are in the way of that, unfortunately, as much as anything. And I admit, Putin's not the nicest guy on the planet, far from it. But he has a vested interest in having some alliance against China, if he could. And not going any further than that. It's not the subject of this video. So that merits a whole other video. And I've already done a video on that. I'll return to it. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. We'll talk about it some with Dr. Pry tomorrow. So please watch my video with Dr. Pry, and so that I will know that you have watched this video this far. So hey, I don't want to say German. Don't do anything in German. I'm sorry. I'll do it. Just say, Greg, Taiwan is a nation. If you dare. If you don't agree with that, say, tell me otherwise, because some of you aren't going to buy that. Some of you believe that the CCP should be the planetary government of Earth. And if you're not careful, that's exactly what you're going to have. And what you're going to discover is if you're not Han Chinese, you are nobody. And if you are not Han Chinese, and if you are Han Chinese, if you're not CCP Han Chinese, you're nobody. And if you're CCP Han Chinese and you're not, you know, sucking up to the current chairman or president or whatever they want to call it at the time, the leader of the party, you're nobody. And being nobody means and worse. Worse. So, yeah, they seduce us with the fly bait of the economy, the market, cheap labor, cheap ways to produce products, puts Americans out of work, and enables them to invest in their defense, their expansion of their Belts and Road Initiative, or invasion roads. Yes, all roads lead to Rome, led to Rome. Now all roads are the way to Beijing. Oh. Maybe we shouldn't go along with that. This Belt and Roads Initiative has been a bad deal. I should talk about that in a whole other video. But you know what? China's going into other countries. He's getting them to borrow money from China to build the stuff there in their countries. China brings in their own labor. They don't use the labor there. China cuts deals where they've got the rights of ownership of these said facilities. So let's see. The country borrows money from China, have Chinese people come in and build facilities, which really are under Chinese control. And then they got to pay back China for this. So they'll have some promise of having this Belt and Road, this invasion road through their, this economic trade route through their country. And then they're indebted to China. They can't pay it back. And so China takes more. And oh, by the way, to get the deal with China, you got to vote with China in the UN. And they're getting us to countries all over the world, especially in the South Pacific Islands, the entire Pacific ring there. They're getting lots of countries in on this. They're going in and paying off the heads of the countries, a few $1 million to the head of the country. They buy them out. Probably that's what happened to Durante. And then they basically try to take over. Some of these islands have gotten smart and wise and pushed it out. Let's hope the Philippines succeed and kick Durante out if he don't wake up. Maybe he'll wake up. So we shall see what's going to happen. We're living in interesting times very much. Let's hope we can get through these times and maybe we get Russia on our side and we'll other pressure, and maybe China will the people, the good people living in mainland China will say we've had enough of the CCP and overthrow it. And maybe they'll go democratic. Maybe even the Republic of China will return to mainland China as a democratic representative government that will help everyone. Could happen. Yeah, that's a stretch maybe, but you know what? There is some real instability in the base of the CCP right now with the people of the country. A lot of people are unhappy. They weren't happy a few years ago. They felt like the country squandered its wealth building ghost cities and did dumb things, and the economy started faltering, and then the bugs started going around, and now they're flooded to the hilt. Oh, mass unhappiness. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next few years. If we can just kind of keep things contained and not let it explode, things just might grow rosy. I don't know, but we've got to defend ourselves too. Again, China might be expecting that we'd do a first strike on them, and they might decide to hit us first, or vice versa. Advantage is to he who hits first if you get into a situation like that. I hope we don't get to that point, but things are boiling, things are hot. Anyway, I've gone too long. Everyone, I just want to thank you very much for watching. Pray for peace and pray for prosperity, including to the people, the citizens of both the Republic of China and mainland China. Let's wish upon them peace, prosperity, and representative government, and freedom for Tibet, the Uyghurs, and the Inner Mongolians. How about that? Anyway, everyone, thank you for watching.